We all carry wounds. Some are visible, many are not. Life has a way of bruising us sometimes in places we didn't even know could hurt. Maybe it was a betrayal, a loss, an insult that cut too deep, or a moment that changed everything in a single breath. Pain is real, it's valid, and it demands to be felt. But let me tell you something I've learned, through experience, through fire, and through moments when I thought I wouldn't make it to the other side. Pain is not who you are. We often confuse the things that happen to us with the essence of who we are. It's natural. When someone breaks your heart, when you're rejected, abandoned, or overlooked, it can start to feel like you're broken, unworthy, or invisible. And slowly, without realizing it, you begin to shrink into that space. You start to carry yourself like someone who's less than whole. But that's the trap, that's the lie. Because what hurt you might shape you, yes, but it does not get to define you. You are not your heartbreak, you are not the abuse, you are not the failure. You are not the words that were thrown at you in anger or the silence that left you questioning your worth. You are something far deeper, something more sacred. The essence of you is untouched by what was done to you. That part of you is fireproof. When you allow pain to become your identity, you give the person or situation that caused it a permanent seat at your table. You let them narrate your story, but the truth is they don't deserve that kind of power, only you do. You are the author, the editor, and the publisher of your life, and if that chapter was dark, write a brighter one. If that moment dimmed your light, turn it back up, not for them, but for you. There's something incredibly liberating in choosing to live like you've already healed, not because you're faking it, but because you've decided that your future matters more than your past. That kind of strength, the ability to carry pain without becoming it, is one of the most powerful things a human being can do. It doesn't mean you forget what happened. It doesn't mean you deny it. It just means you've made peace with it. You've allowed yourself to feel it, process it, and now you're choosing not to wear it like armor, because pain may teach you lessons, but it doesn't belong on your skin forever. Acting like no one harmed you isn't about pretending. It's about reclaiming your identity, about saying, yes, I've been through it, but look at me now. It's a quiet rebellion, a graceful refusal to be seen through the lens of what went wrong. It's deciding to walk into a room not as someone who was hurt, but as someone who survived. So if you've been through pain, and I know you have, honor it, acknowledge it, but then let it pass through you like a storm. Don't build a home in it. Don't build your name in it. You are not what broke you. You are what rose from it. You are strength, resilience, elegance, and power wrapped in one incredible soul. And it's time the world sees that. Let your identity be your healing. Let your identity be your joy. Let your identity be your freedom, because you deserve that. You always did. There's a common misconception that grace is weakness, that it means letting things slide, staying silent, or being soft when you should be fighting back. But let me tell you something I've learned from being a woman in rooms where I had to prove myself twice as hard. Grace is not weakness. Grace is strategy. It's power wrapped in elegance. It's the kind of strength that doesn't scream, it commands. When people wrong you, the first instinct is to react, to get even, to make sure they feel what you felt, and that's human. I've been there. I felt that fire in my chest, that voice in my head that said, don't let this go. Show them who they're messing with. But over time, I realized something far more impactful. The most powerful response isn't always retaliation. Sometimes, the strongest thing you can do is walk away with your head high and your dignity untouched. Grace is knowing your worth and refusing to engage in anything that diminishes it. It's looking someone in the eye who tried to bring you down and smiling not out of spite, but because you're already beyond it. You've already moved on. There's nothing more unsettling to people who tried to hurt you than seeing you unaffected, unshaken, thriving. That's grace, and it hits harder than any comeback ever could. There were moments in my life where I wanted to clap back, where I had the perfect words ready to burn bridges and leave people scorched. But I've learned that when you hold your tongue, when you let your success be the loudest thing in the room, you win differently. You win with style, with class, with power that doesn't need to prove itself. And here's the truth, not everything deserves your reaction. Not everyone deserves access to your energy. When you lead with grace, you set the tone. You show people how to treat you without saying a word. You teach them that while you're not naive, you're not interested in pettiness either, that your time is too precious, your soul too full, your dreams too big to waste a single moment on bitterness. I know it's not easy, especially when you've been disrespected or dismissed, but grace isn't about being passive. It's about being deliberate. It's choosing to protect your peace, not your pride. It's recognizing that every time you rise above the noise, you preserve your power and you step deeper into who you really are. The world watches how you handle moments of pressure, especially when you've been wronged. And nothing is more striking than someone who can keep their crown straight while the world tries to shake them. Grace isn't just a way of acting, it's a way of owning your space, of saying, I know exactly who I am, and no one's opinion, insult, or betrayal can change that. There's something magnetic about a person who doesn't get pulled into drama, who chooses their peace over proving a point, who moves forward, focused, unbothered. That's the kind of energy that builds empires. That's the kind of strength that leaves a legacy. So the next time someone tries to pull you out of character, remember, your grace is your armor, your elegance is your edge, and your silence, when it comes from a place of power, is not empty, it's echoing in ways they'll never forget. Because grace is never about letting them win. It's about showing them they never had the power to make you lose. Healing doesn't always look the way people expect it to. It's not always dramatic or poetic. It's not a grand announcement or a perfect Instagram post about moving on. Most of the time, healing is quiet. It's invisible. It happens in the small choices you make every day, choosing not to text someone back, choosing to get out of bed when you'd rather disappear, choosing to believe in yourself again when the world made you doubt everything. It's in those silent, lonely moments that you start to rebuild yourself. The world doesn't see that part. They don't see the nights you cried yourself to sleep or the mornings you forced a smile when you felt hollow inside. They don't see the effort it takes to forgive someone who never apologized or the strength it takes to forgive yourself. That's the thing about healing. It's an internal war, a quiet revolution inside your soul. And you fight it every single day with no audience, no applause, and often no acknowledgement. But that doesn't make it any less powerful. In fact, that makes it more powerful, because true healing is not performative. It's not about proving to the world that you're okay. It's about proving to yourself that you're still standing. It's about choosing to feel everything, even the unbearable, and letting it transform you not into someone colder, but into someone wiser, someone braver, someone softer but stronger. And once that healing has settled in, once you've done the hard, invisible work of picking up your own pieces, that's when your strength begins to speak. Loudly, unapologetically, and not through words but through presence, through how you carry yourself, through the way you walk into a room, not seeking validation, but owning your space, through the way you treat people, not with bitterness, but with boundaries. Not with vengeance, but with vision. That strength doesn't need to be shouted from the rooftops. It doesn't need to be announced. It just is. People feel it. They sense it. They see it in your calm, in your clarity, in your refusal to be anything less than whole. Strength isn't about being hard. It's not about pretending you don't care or pretending you were never hurt. Real strength is about being fully alive, fully human, about allowing yourself to be vulnerable, but never letting anyone hold your worth hostage again. It's about rising from the wreckage, still soft, still kind, but no longer willing to shrink for anyone. When you've truly healed, your strength becomes undeniable, and not because you talk about it, but because you don't have to. You become the kind of person who doesn't need revenge, who doesn't seek closure in chaos, who no longer bleeds for those who wouldn't even offer you a bandage. You become the kind of person who knows how to let go, not because you're weak, but because you finally know what you deserve. So if your healing feels invisible, if it feels quiet and slow and exhausting, don't doubt it. That's exactly how real healing works. It grows quietly, like roots under the surface, until one day your strength bursts through bold and undeniable, like a tree that no one can ignore. And when that happens, don't be surprised if the world finally pays attention, not to your pain but to your power, because healing is quiet, but your strength will be so loud it'll echo. There comes a point in life where you realize not everything deserves your reaction. Not every insult needs a comeback. Not every misunderstanding needs to be fixed. And not every room is meant to hold your presence. That realization, that's not ego, that's wisdom. But it only comes when you stop trying to defend your ego and start protecting your energy. The world will challenge you. People will test you, misunderstand you, underestimate you. And if you spend your life trying to correct everyone, to be seen, to be heard, to be right, you will run out of fuel before you reach your destination. Ego wants to win the argument. Ego wants to be liked. Ego needs the last word, but energy wants peace. It wants focus. It wants elevation. And those two, ego and energy, they rarely walk in the same direction. I've had moments in my life where my ego screamed louder than my purpose. When someone questioned me, doubted me, or tried to put me in a box, I felt the urge to prove something, to make them see me. But the truth is, once you start living for their applause, you become addicted to their approval, and that's not power, that's dependency. Protecting your energy means learning to choose your battles with grace. It means asking yourself, is this fight worth my peace? Is this conversation going to grow me or drain me? Because not everyone deserves your time, your light, your fire. Some people thrive on chaos, on control, on pulling you into their storm just to watch you spin. When you protect your energy, you stop dancing for their attention. You stop explaining yourself to people committed to misunderstanding you. It doesn't mean you let people walk over you. It means you walk away from what doesn't serve you. You walk toward purpose, not drama, toward growth, not ego trips. Protecting your energy is not about being passive, it's about being powerful in silence. It's about letting go of the need to always be right and choosing instead to be aligned with who you are, with where you're going, with what actually matters. Because here's the thing, your energy is your currency. It fuels your creativity, your clarity, your confidence. And every time you spend it on ego proving your point, feeding your pride, reacting out of insecurity, you bankrupt yourself emotionally. You lose hours, days, even years of peace over people and situations that were never meant to walk your journey with you in the first place. When you shift from ego to energy, everything changes. You stop needing recognition from the outside world because you've already recognized your own worth. You stop chasing validation because your value isn't up for negotiation. You stop forcing your presence because you know the right people feel you even in your silence. The right spaces welcome you, even when you're still. And the best part, when you protect your energy, you start attracting things that are in true alignment with your spirit, opportunities that reflect your growth, relationships that honor your peace, success that doesn't cost your soul. So don't waste your life defending your ego. Let people think what they want. Let them assume, judge, gossip. You have nothing to prove. You have everything to preserve your peace, your joy, your light. That's your real wealth. That's your real power. Because at the end of the day, your ego might win a few battles, but your energy builds empires. There's a moment in your journey where you stop explaining yourself. You stop defending your choices, your dreams, your ambition, not because you don't care, but because you've learned something powerful. Real success doesn't need a spokesperson. It speaks for itself, loudly, clearly, and in a language everyone understands. There will always be people who doubt you, people who don't believe in your vision, who reduce you to your past, who can't see beyond their own limited lens. And for a while you may feel the need to argue, to prove them wrong with words, to lay out your intentions like evidence in a courtroom. But eventually you realize something important. Your energy is better spent building than battling. Your time is more valuable chasing excellence than chasing approval. Letting success speak for you means allowing your actions to do the talking. It means showing up when no one's watching, putting in the work when it's not glamorous, and staying true to your path even when it's not popular. It's the quiet grind, the early mornings, the lonely nights, the decisions that don't make sense to others. until they do, until the results arrive, until they see what you saw all along. And here's the beautiful part. When you let success speak for you, you don't have to say a word to the people who doubted you. Your glow, your growth, your peace. That is the statement. That is the clapback. The ones who questioned you, they'll either fall silent or pretend they always believed in you. Either way, you don't owe them anything, because you were never building for applause. You were building for yourself. I've experienced this firsthand. I've had moments where people labeled me too much, too ambitious, too bold, and I've learned not to waste time shrinking to fit their comfort. You can't inspire from a cage. You can't lead from a place of fear, so instead I kept working. I kept showing up, one role, one project, one risk at a time, and slowly the narrative changed, not because I said anything, but because the work spoke volumes. There's a discipline in staying focused when people try to distract you with criticism. There's elegance in choosing silence while the noise tries to shake your purpose, and there's unmatched power in standing in your truth so firmly that nothing, not even doubt, can move you. That's what letting success speak for you is all about. It's not about revenge, it's not about ego, it's about trust. Trust in yourself, trust in the process, and trust in the fact that the results will always silence the noise. You don't need to argue with people about what you're capable of. Show them. Let them watch you from a distance as you evolve, thrive, expand. Let them wonder how you did it. Let them regret not believing. And most importantly, let them see what happens when someone stops explaining and starts executing. Because success has a voice of its own. It's not loud, but it's undeniable. It shows up in the way you walk, the peace in your eyes, the doors opening for you, the ones you now walk past without looking back. Success doesn't beg to be noticed. It just is. And the right people, the ones meant for your journey, they'll notice it. They'll respect it without you needing to say a word, so keep building, keep rising, keep becoming, and let the results speak for themselves, because the loudest message you'll ever deliver will be the one you didn't have to say out loud. There comes a point when you stop following the noise and start becoming the voice. A voice that isn't shaped by trends or by what's popular at the moment, but by what's true to you. Because if all you do is echo what others are saying, you'll never discover your own sound. You weren't born to blend in. You were born to stand out, to lead, to be the example. In a world that's obsessed with sameness, it takes courage to be original. It takes real strength to say, no, this is who I am, this is how I think, this is what I stand for, especially when it doesn't match what everyone else is doing. But those are the people who leave a mark, not the ones who follow the script, but the ones who write their own. Being the example means taking the road that hasn't been paved for you. It means refusing to be boxed in by someone else's comfort zone. It means daring to go first, even if it's uncomfortable, even if people don't understand you at first. Because they won't, not at first, but that's what happens when you lead instead of echo. You challenge people to think differently, to be different. I've lived that. I know what it feels like to walk into rooms where no one looks like you, thinks like you, or expects you to belong. I know what it's like to face the pressure of fitting in, of softening your voice, of making yourself smaller just to be accepted. But the moment I stopped echoing what the world expected and started being exactly who I am, that's when everything changed. That's when I stopped surviving and started thriving. And let's be honest, being the example isn't always easy. It means saying yes when everyone else says no, and saying no when everyone expects you to conform. It means being misunderstood, criticized, even judged, but it also means leading with integrity, inspiring others who are quietly waiting for anyone to show them it's okay to break the mold. And believe me, someone is always watching. Someone is learning how to be brave by watching you. When you choose to live by your own rules, you give others permission to do the same. That's what leadership is. It's not about titles or attention. It's about impact. It's about showing up even when it's hard and making choices that reflect the kind of person you aspire to be, not the kind that simply reflect what's safe or trendy. There's no power in being a copy. There's no legacy in mimicry. Be bold enough to start something, not just repeat something. Your voice, your perspective, your journey, it all matters. The world doesn't need another echo. It needs you, the real you, unfiltered, uncompromised. Be the one who holds her ground when everyone else sways. Be the one who lifts others instead of tearing them down. Be the one who lives with conviction, even when it's inconvenient. Because, while echoes fade, examples last. They echo in hearts, not just in halls. They shift culture, they shape futures, they ignite change. So don't be afraid to be different. Be afraid of becoming forgettable. Live loud, stand tall, be kind, be fierce, be intentional, and most of all, be the example the world didn't even know it needed. Because when you lead with truth, when you stand in authenticity, you don't just walk a path, you light it. For everyone coming after you.